Hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde. Welcome to EFA 149 on this Tuesday, August 18th. Have you noticed how slower things are getting in certain aspects and how much more expensive things are getting, right? If you look at your lumber costs and materials costs, like anything you're ordering now, there seems to be an increase in things and housing prices and material costs and access to material and readily available material. I deal with businesses today that had ordered products in March, and we're now going into September, and they still haven't received it because they come from overseas and so forth. Or they're pre-sold until 2021 on certain items. There's a lot of the amount of changes we have all gone through right now in the last 6 months. And I'm not just talking the COVID change, I'm talking the business changes, the mental health changes, the physical changes all the way through. But have you noticed how slower things are getting? Right? And individuals will say that, like today I had another conversation how they wrote their counselor, they wrote their mayor, and they're talking about, like, if we're working from home, shouldn't we more efficient with our time? Shouldn't we be more efficient with our time? And you talk to those in business that are now working remotely. I've dealt with individuals on many aspects and many conversations that all say the same thing. Since they're not traveling to and from work, they're saving 2 hours a day. They have much more time on their hand. They're getting more files done because those in business will, there has to be an accountability tied to your time. And they're talking about that. And then on the other aspects, they're talking about certain fields are dealing with public sectors and that, and how slower, how they're not getting responded to, or they can't get any information or anything with a publicly type setting of environment. A lot of the complaints are coming from. And on the private side, their problem is people don't want to come back to work, right? Because they're still getting their allowances or staying home. Beautiful summer, why go to work, right? And that's what they're facing with. Hence why we have a slower world, and that slower world has now caused an increase in a lot of availability of material, because material comes from overseas, material comes from facilities that don't have enough employees, and then a lot of industries did not slow down, like the construction industry, and then the shortage of material came through, and then everybody working from home, they're working on their landscaping, their fencing, their decking, and so forth, finishing their houses, finishing their properties, not traveling. All these things are accumulating to where we are today. Higher costs for material, slower processes depending who you're dealing with, whether in private industry or public industry, for different reasons, and the scratching of the head in the last 6 months. What is the winter like? What are we looking at right now for fall and winter? When I look back the last 6 months of where we are today, and the next 6 months, and possible other waves and so on and so forth, and we already have a lack of, or a shortage of, or a time allowance, a time management of completely different realms now. I had to go downtown today. I didn't want to. And I called them. Could I go here or could I go there? I don't want to go downtown. I don't want to go through these processes. I don't want to be waiting outside in lineups. I don't want to be standing in another lineup somewhere else with a mask inside of a building amongst like herded, right? And then and again, I participate, and I've said this before, but I don't want to. So I try to do things that I don't have to deal with society, basically the publicly setting type societies. And I know I'm not the only one that thinks that way. Because when I was there today, I'm looking around, the place is barren. Like it's like there's hardly anybody in a public building on a business day, and the place was vacant. People outside standing with their little ticket line up with their mask on, etc. And I'm looking around how unhealthy the world we are in today. It's truly an unhealthy world psychologically, and the freedom of peace and getting out of the realm. Like I said, not wanting to go to the city today. I think about that, and I think about how slower we've gotten as a society for a lot of productivity and so forth. And again, depending on who you talk to in business, they'll tell you how swamped they are and busy they are. And then in other realms, we can't seem to get any service. So if I'm looking at the what's ahead of us, right? Is it a foresight to what's going on behind us? Is it going to get slower? Is it going to get more expensive? It's not a healthy world. It's not a healthy world, and that's why I preach a lot about the healthy lifestyle that I live now and so on and so forth. And then when I look at, I'm so glad that I did what I did. I'm so glad I did what I did when I made that leap on June 3rd, 2019, into where we are today. when I think of it mentally, and like I'm sure I would think completely different. I would think completely different, and I wouldn't be at peace with it as I am today compared to how I would have been the 350-pound me, right? So on EFA 149, it's just one of these off-topic time of the day that I was thinking about how slower things have gotten in many realms, how much more expensive things are getting, and what's ahead of us, right? What is ahead of us? This is only like, we're only 6 months into this game, approximately. Think about that for a second. Jean-Guy Bourguignon, EFA 149.